Hey, brother. I thought I would share a little bit about my day and some of the ways, again, that my property and living in the country kind of teaches me lessons. We have about a third of a mile driveway, and it's gravel, and that's primarily because a third of a mile driveway would be six figures to pave. And one, I don't have six figures to dedicate to paving a driveway, and two, it's not the way I would want to spend that kind of money. And so in Pennsylvania, where I live, we get about 43 inches of rain a year on average. And sometimes in the summer, we can get a storm where we get a good bit of that in minutes, sometimes hours. And so a constant thing I have fought for the 10 years we've lived here is battling what happens with this driveway when such downpours happen. Before I started mentoring and I was a software architect, I had a lot more resources, just because I've been doing it for so long. And I didn't really lean on self-reliance, and I was frustrated at how the weather impacted that driveway. So I would spend like 100 hours a year maintaining it, which I still do probably, between plowing and cleaning up things. And you might say, oh, that's stupid, but I like it. However, when I had these resources, if something would happen, I would just get on the phone, I'd call somebody, an excavator, somebody with a skid steer, hey, come fix my driveway. And I put all kinds of money into like redoing ditches, regrading, all this stuff. And I was telling one of you the other day, I think it was Mike Remick, who was here, after spending just tens of thousands of dollars on trying to eliminate really the effects of nature on my driveway. I put one small swale in my driveway, which took like 20 minutes and a few minutes of tractor work. And the swale is just kind of a dip that allows the water to run a certain way. And that one swale has really improved my driveway substantially, and it fixed all of the things that this, like, I would say probably $30,000 to $40,000 worth of excavation over the years did not. And part of me is like, kind of like we do as men when you find out what you haven't been doing right, and that the answer sometimes is a lot simpler. And I had paid experts to do this. And it turns out, and this is a pattern a lot of my life, even the experts sometimes are not going to be as good an option as self-reliance. These were people with tons of equipment, tons of experience. At the end of the day, they didn't recommend the swale solution, maybe because they had tens of thousands of dollars to gain, but that's what fixed my driveway at another area. But another thing that's helped me is just to understand I'm never going to control the power of nature to the degree where it's just tamed. And so today, I'm going to clean up this driveway. Let me show you. This is just a part of my driveway that washed out, or kind of, I wouldn't say washed out, but you see these like channels. You can see the lighter color, the brown color is like the bedrock underneath it, the gravel. It's just really rough and nasty. You can see where the water cut a groove, right? So there's a lot of stuff I could learn here about the powerful feminine nature of water, where it just flows, and gravel is not a good container. This driveway does not have a channel to funnel the water, and so the powerful force of that water and rain, it just cuts its own groove. So this driveway in some ways is like, I don't want to overdo the metaphor here, but it's like a man with feeble boundaries. That's not going to be my point to this, but I want you to see what it did. And the reason for that is I have no good way to put a permanent ditch right here along this grass, because when I wrap around the driveway, there's no way for me at the moment, no place for me efficiently and effectively to put a ditch in there to funnel that water. And so I just have kind of come to the conclusion, you know what, it's okay that this happens. And instead what I'm going to do, and I'm about to do, I'm going to get my tractor out and I'm going to grade this section of the driveway, which I had just done the week before after another rainstorm. And I just kind of understand this time of year, this season, when we get heavy rains, part of my life is just going to be kind of keeping my driveway tidy, letting the storms do what the storms do, realizing it's not the end of the world. It takes an hour or so of my time. I have the tools that I need. I have the skills that I need, and I can put the driveway back how I like. And that's my point, is that sometimes we spend so much time as men trying to avoid the range of the feminine. We get this way like, oh man, I gotta make sure she doesn't have a blow up. I gotta make sure she doesn't have a downpour. But when we do that, what we're really doing is trying to prevent sometimes just the need to go, tidy something up. And it's really a reflection of our lack of self-trust. And this is what I have learned so much of in my marriage and relationship to Zelda for 31 years, is that I spent so much time trying to keep everything copacetic and smooth. And it was all because I didn't trust that I could be the guy to just handle whatever comes up, right? And so this, to some people, might look like some sort of big deal, I guess, if you've never done it. But with a tractor and a what's called a land planer, which is a big heavy thing that you pull behind this, it's gonna be no big deal, and it's actually kind of fun to clean up. And so I'm fortunate to have the time in my schedule to do this, and so that's what I'm gonna do. Stay tuned. I'll try to show you maybe some pictures of that at the end, and then maybe I'll have a little bit more to say. See you then. Okay, so I've done some leveling. It's cleaned up pretty good. Let me show you what we've got here. You can see it looks a lot better, but it's not just that it looks better, although that's important to me. It's that it's smoother when we get deliveries and drive around. People don't bounce all over the ruts and whatnot. But a couple things that I always experience is you get items like this. You see this score. Anybody who's ever smoothed out a driveway with any kind of device like this knows how utterly irritating that can be. Just to have these marks. Some of that is from the tool itself. The other thing is rocks like this drive me nuts. But it's part of being in nature. This is part of nature, but what ends up happening is when I smooth this out, let me show you, it will get caught under my tractor bucket and it'll score a big line. And there's just hundreds of them sometimes. And when the water flows, it can find that line. So this is the kind of thing that drives me nuts as a man. This is kind of one of the friction points I have sometimes, that I want nature to have smooth, straight lines. That's just kind of part of our dilemma, is we're trying to tame the natural, and the natural has shit like this in it, right? So I have to kind of, in my own self, just remember, hey, I'm gonna need to do this again. And so get over thinking it can be done once and for all. Because I've learned that lesson. I put tens of thousands of dollars in the driveway over 10 years just to have a new thing happen. Nature does something I didn't expect. It goes around the thing you just do. And so I've gotten a lot more peace with just coming to accept that the natural attributes of nature are that it washes stuff out. It's part of living in the country, right? I could live an easier life, but I don't want to live an easier life, because I get this kind of benefit out of it. And so all these lessons as a married man help me to understand the females in my life, particularly my wife, and that instead of being scared about events like a driveway washing out, I can just come to accept that there's highs and lows in anything. Nature has highs and lows. We're living in a time as a nation, for example, we got all kinds of weird stuff going on, heat, flooding, and that's part of living as a citizen in a natural environment on planet Earth. And part of marriage, likewise, is that if you're marrying a female, females are different than you. Where I want a nice smooth driveway, I want it predictable, I want a clean edge. That's not how nature works. And so I don't have to change, but I can't demand nature change either. And so I've learned to live in harmony in this way. And for me, that looks like allowing nature to be nature. When I get a downpour, it changes the shape of my driveway, but I have a way I want my driveway to look that reshapes and orders nature and puts it back, and nature will come again and it'll do that. And I'll get on my tractor again and we'll have some time with the tractor on the driveway, and we both win. And so I hope you have taken something out of that. I know it's not the same as being here. If you ever get the chance to buy land and live out some of these things, nothing has served me better as a man, as a husband, as a father, for me, than learning to live in closer proximity to nature, specifically with homesteading. It's been expensive, it's been a lot of labor, but I would not trade it for anything. If you as a man are finding yourself wrestling with nature, trying to dominate, trying to win, and putting tens of thousands of dollars in to try to have permanent solutions so you never have to experience nature being nature, I want you to consider these things deeply. I want you to consider stopping and instead develop the skills that allow you to interact with nature in a way that you still get to be you and nature still gets to be nature, where you still get to appreciate your strengths as a man and actually make them better, but also stop needing your wife to change. Stop needing her to come into a situation where she is predictable, manageable, and easy. It won't actually serve you. It'll make you a weak man. Whereas learning to adapt, to overcome, to live in harmony with nature, make you a stronger man, confident man, and a man who is not scared of what nature does. If you don't know how to do that, and you want some help doing that, myself and my community at Mentoring Men, we can help you with that. We're experts in helping men mature, become resilient, find that part of themselves, and get rid of all of the nasty stuff in our lives that makes us feel like we can't do it. And so you'll see a link below in the video description about how you can start that conversation with myself or others. Just click it. It'll take 7-8 minutes to fill out. It's a form. It's going to ask you some questions so we know a little bit more about your situation. You're going to get a real warm personal response from one of us. We're going to have a call and we're going to start helping you learn how to live that life. Again, I'm Sven Masterson, one of the co-founders of Mentoring Men, and I look forward to talking to you in another video. Take care.